Okay, we are recording, and it's red, and that means it is a go. Welcome back to another episode of CEOs You Should Know, an iHeartMedia Columbus podcast. I'm your host, Boxer, and with me today, a couple of wonderful guests. One who's got just the background of his family business story and what he has become today, and how it all started, and that's Mike Feasel. Mike Feasel is the co-founder and CEO of Roof Maxx. But there's more to it than that. How we got to where we're at with Roof Maxx, we'll let him explain that in just a sec. And this amazing partnership that Roof Maxx has with Rita Sorinen from the Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption. So, Mike and Rita, welcome to the show. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Yeah, great to be here.
Rita, we're going to get to you and the foundation in just a sec. But, Mike, if we could go with you first, how long have you and the family been in the roofing business, the roofing industry?
Yeah, I started in the roofing business right out of high school in '85, and then started my own business in '88. I founded Feasel Roofing. And then my brother came back a year later to be my partner. So, over 35 years.
That's incredible.
In the roofing business.
In the roofing business. So when you started, were you one of the guys that was up on the roof?
Yeah. Absolutely.
See, you started with humble beginnings then.
I borrowed my dad's ladder and put it on top of my car and started cleaning out gutters. That led to somebody who knew an individual at MI Homes, got a really small contract with them, and it just kind of went from there. So
let me ask you, Mike, and Mike Feasel is with us. Of course, his new company is Roof Maxx, but goes a long ways back with Feasel Roofing, and he'll share that with us with that company and where it's at today. But growing up, I mean, is that what the family did? Did the family, what did Dad do?
No, my father ran the maintenance department at Anheuser-Busch. Oh, wow. My stepfather was a concrete contractor, so I was around construction. But a family friend was in the roofing business. My brother worked his way through college with that company, a very small business in Westerville. He went off to Florida and was in technology and electronics. And then I worked with the same family friend for about 6 months out of high school.
Yeah.
And realized I didn't want to be a roofer. Very difficult work. Stepped away from it. And it was about a year and a half later I came back and started doing maintenance on people's homes, cleaning out gutters. Ultimately went to school for a trimester, and while I was in school, had the opportunity with MI Homes. And so that's kind of how it started. I dropped out of school and started building my company with MI Homes. Within a year, my brother came back. We got out of new construction and really started to build a retail business, which obviously became, a company that just really focused on roof replacements, maintenance, and doing advertising with the stations that are here at iHeart today. There wasn't iHeart back then.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, we appreciate the partnership. We truly do. I love hearing stories like yours, Mike, the entrepreneur spirit stories, because nowadays in 2024, we hear a lot of technology stories. Oh, someone was coding and now they have their own app. But you literally have taken something, a trade, a talent, I'm going to say too, and built it into what I would call an empire. But it's not an easy task. It's not like you're sitting behind a desk. You touched on it. This is truly, I'm guessing, probably one of the toughest jobs in the world, and that's roofing.
Very physical. In the construction business, it's like a factory, but it's a fragmented factory. And no two pieces are manufactured in the same way, right? You're doing homes across the city or across multiple states or the entire country. So that makes it difficult. Blue collar is really coming back, the service technicians across many trades. So that's exciting to see. But in the early days, it was hard to get labor, quality labor. Mm-hmm. So you really had to, you had to do a lot of training.
Yeah.
So, but no, we love the business. It's an amazing industry. It's gone through its ups and downs. A little bit of the downs is why we started Roof Maxx, and I can get into that a little later.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Well, look, let's fast forward a little bit. So, like you said, you and your brother, you formed Feasel Roofing, and what year was that you started that?
88.
Okay. Yeah. Was it from scratch, Mike? Basically, did you have any contracts before you, like in the back of your pocket? You're like, well, I could go to MI or I could do this, and we're set to go. Or was it there was no money coming in, no business at all?
No, I was making money from cleaning out gutters, and then they would let me do maintenance around the home, and I'd build relationships.
Yeah.
And then I had the opportunity with MI Homes. My first few jobs, probably the first 10 or 15 jobs before I had the money, I was literally pulling up to an MI Home job site with my powder blue Honda hatchback with a ladder on the top, my dad's borrowed ladder. And then I saved enough money and went and bought an actual construction truck.
Yeah.
And it kind of went on from there. So no, the early days were rough.
Please tell me you still have that ladder. Do you still have the ladder?
It's my father's ladder. He still has it. He took it back.
That's great. I love that. Many memories there.
Yeah.
Well, the story behind Fiesel Roofing, and you've since sold it, but you're very tight still with the owners, from what I understand, correct?
Yes.
But there was a point where you had built this business up to this brand name, and I love talking about brands, but eventually, Mike, business was good, it was booming, you built this incredible brand, but you came to a point where you decided, I think it's time to sell. Was it just the offer was too good to pass up? Explain.
Partially. So things had changed in the roofing industry quite a bit.
What can I ask? What changed? What
storming has become a big thing. So by 2003, we had never had a major hailstorm hit Columbus, Ohio. 2003, major hailstorm hit the city. Thousands of contractors across the country came in, the stormers, if you will.
Yeah.
At that time, the weather had shifted, and really east of the Mississippi started to see a lot of storms, hailstorms. We were hit again in 2006. There was the windstorm of 2009, which was just the remnants of Hurricane Ike. I think it's the first hurricane force winds we've had. I think they sustained hurricane force winds for 8 hours in the city.
Wow.
So that really changed the dynamics of the industry, while at the same time the manufacturers were removing asphalt from asphalt shingles. So today's product is 1/3 thinner and lighter than shingles of, let's say, the 80s and even into the 90s. And this product is lasting for 15 and 20 years. In the early days when we were installing roofs, they lasted for 30 years. Today they call that a 50-year product. And my brother and I had a problem with that. We would tell our customers, but then you had other roofing contractors saying, well, they're using a cheap product. Our product will last for 50 years. It went from 30, they called it a 30, then they called it a 40, and then a 50. All of the manufacturers were kind of forced into the same game. And so we didn't like the lack of integrity that we saw. Yeah. I think most contractors today, and I think many homeowners are aware that shingles don't last as long as they did.
Sure.
That's why you see such an explosion in metal roofing. You see metal roofing everywhere.
Right.
Now.
Yeah.
People are, the older generation doesn't want to buy a new roof every 15 or 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Today, Columbus, Ohio, it's over $20,000 for a new roof on average.
Yeah.
So it's very, very expensive. And so less asphalt means less petrochemical oil. It's the petrochemical oil that allows asphalt to be waterproof and flexible, just like our roads, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So when you get a pothole on a road, it's because the oils have dried out. And when the oil dries out on a roof, they blow off and the shingles end up in your backyard and you need to replace the roof.
Right.
So that's where kind of Roof Maxx came in. And we wanted to find a solution to that challenge.
Mike, a quick question. You touched on metal roofing. The one thing that came to mind, and maybe you could educate us a little bit, I would worry eventually, would you have to worry about it rusting at all, a metal roof?
Today's products are Galvalume, so it's a mixture of aluminum and galvanized steel.
Okay.
They truly do have 50-year coatings if you're buying a quality product. Mm-hmm. But in metal, there's the same things that you have happening, right? There's the cheaper products, which is mostly around the coating that is installed or that is applied at the factory on the coil.
Yeah.
This all comes out of a coil.
Yeah.
But no, metal roofing is the way to go if you're long term. The home that I built after I sold Fiesel Roofing had a metal roof.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay. So it sounds to me, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, Mike, but it sounds to me like you were inspired to figure out better technologies for roofs, and that's one of the reasons you sold Fiesel.
Yes, we were looking for more sustainability. The commercial roofing industry has evolved over the last 30-plus years that I've been in the industry.
Yeah.
And today, the flat roofing systems, the majority of them get some type of a coating. GE has entered that space. So, and other large manufacturers. So most roofs today on commercial properties, they don't just install it. They install it, maintain it, and then put coatings on top of it over time. and get a lot more life out of that roof. So the life cycle cost is considerably less, and you're keeping debris out of landfills. But there wasn't a solution for steep slope or asphalt shingle roofs, which is 85% of the U.S. and Canadian markets.
Yeah.
So most everything has an asphalt shingle on a steep slope roof, a church, a school, a home. And so we wanted to figure out a way to maintain and extend the life of those roofs, and that's what Roof Maxx really is about.
So you started Roof Maxx in, 2017 or something like that? Or
we hard launched in 2019. We started in 17 and then hard launched in 2019. But we had to form some partnerships with the American Farmer, the Soybean Association here locally. Ohio State University was involved with testing, environmental impact studies. Battelle Labs was involved with increasing the formulation, the quality of the formulation. So we had a lot of local involvement with other great organizations and institutions here.
Yeah, Mike Fiesel is with us. He's one of our guests with CEOs You Should Know, an iHeartMedia Columbus podcast. He's one of the co-founders and CEO of Roof Maxx. We also have Rita Sorinen with us, who is from the Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption. Rita, we're going to get to you, I promise, in just a sec here. So you start Roof Maxx. Who are some of your big clients?
So our dealers are nationwide. We have over 300 and I think it's 60, 70 dealers now. So we're in all the, in every state. And we're working for just Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner. As well as real estate investment trusts like LiveCore. They're the largest real estate investment trust, and multifamily. And real estate organizations, RE/MAX, HER, all of them. So we have, and when I say clients, right, they're the clients of our franchisees, if you will. Our dealers are the franchisees. It's not a franchise model, but it is the same. It's a dealership. These are independently owned and operated at the local level.
Wow.
So
that's incredible.
We're 60,000 plus customers now. I think we're over 200 million square feet treated at this point.
Well, Mike and Rita, one of the things and one of the reasons we love to do this podcast, one, it's local, our love for Columbus. We love to talk with people that are entrepreneurs and are the fabric of this community, and you two definitely are part of that. Explain, how did this incredible partnership between the two of you start? Rita?
Yeah, it is an incredible partnership. And the work that we're in, a nonprofit organization, you depend on partnerships to get the mission done, and particularly this mission. So Mike came to us. He knew about us. He is a researcher. He knew more about this cause and the depth of this cause than anybody I've ever met, some of my board members even. And he I think he did his research and said this might be a good bet as a partnership to involve their dealers, to involve their customers in engaging in this cause of foster care adoption. So we're just delighted, and today's the day that we're actually announcing this partnership to his teams, to ours, and to anybody that will listen, because this is what it's all about in the nonprofit world, are these natural alliances that are committed and passionate about a cause, and that's what Mike and his team are.
Mike, I want you to touch on it, but if you don't mind, real quick, just for those that are listening and who maybe are not familiar with the Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption, would you mind explaining?
Sure. Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption is a national, nonprofit public charity. Yes, we're located right here in Central Ohio, but we have a footprint in all 50 states. We actually have a separate foundation in Canada as well. Our mission is very simple. It's to dramatically increase the adoptions of children who are in foster care through no fault of their own. They've been abused, neglected, abandoned, and their cases have risen to the level that a court has permanently severed their legal relationship with their biological family. So they're legal orphans in this country waiting for a family to step forward. And too many of those children turn 18 and leave foster care without a family, frequently to negative outcomes because they don't have that safety net of family. So those are the kids that we're most concerned about. That's 20,000 a year in this country who turn 18 and don't have a family. 117,000 children, as we sit here today, have been freed for adoption and are waiting for families. So we work on all of those issues. We have programs that help move them out of foster care and into adoptive homes, lots of awareness raising. And we were founded by Dave Thomas, the founder of another Central Ohio-based company, the Wendy's Company. He was adopted, and it was his story that as he was moving into late in his career, wanted to really put into action what was very much in the DNA of the Wendy's Company, which was giving back in the communities in which they operated, not unlike what Mike is doing. And so he created the Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption. In 1992, as a national nonprofit public charity. I think we're mistaken sometimes for a corporate charity or a family charity or even a community foundation. We're not, and we love that we're an independent nonprofit public charity, arm in arm with the Wendy's Company and anyone else that will step along with us in this cause. But Dave Thomas created it that way, I think, so that we would get out, so we would talk about these children, so that we could dispel the myths and misperceptions that surround them and keep them in foster care much too long. But a really simple mission. Let's get these kids into adoptive homes.
I love that. Rita, well said. Mike Fiesel, you could have gone anywhere to give your help and support and love for a foundation, a nonprofit, but you decided on the Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption. What inspired you?
We knew that we wanted to do something that was aligned with children and, adoption, housing, whatever the case may be. We looked far and wide. We started looking in Africa. I'm an avid traveler. What really started to touch me over the years, I've done a lot of backpacking all over the world, mostly third world. Some of that with my brother, most of it was alone.
Okay.
And so you see these children, and adults as well, families, but children specifically. And so as we looked Africa and other places, and then we started to look in our own backyard. And I knew Dave Thomas. I knew Wendy's, of course. I knew the Dave Thomas Foundation and that he had been adopted. But I didn't know the deeper story, which was these children that they time out. They're the most at risk.
Right.
And these are the children that are the hardest to adopt because they're no longer a 2-year-old or a 5-year-old, right? They're now probably a pretty challenging 12-year-old or a 14-year-old. And that takes a very special individual to adopt them. And they have figured out a model that makes this happen. And I said earlier in the room before we started the interview, the real heroes in all of this, besides Rita and her team, are these parents, these amazing, amazing people. I mean, you talk about angels to take on that challenge. And this is not going and adopting a beautiful baby or a 3 or 4-year-old. This is a challenging teen that has been in and out of the system and obviously challenges at home, finally to the point to find out one day that you're now a permanent ward of the state. And that's rough.
Yeah.
You can imagine. So it takes a very special individual to do that. And so you're looking for the needle in the haystack, I would assume. And they figured that out. And that's amazing. So, and actually as we're starting to scale, they're starting to scale. They've really dialed in their model. And so as we looked around and as I learned more about the Dave Thomas Foundation, it was just a natural fit, not to mention they happen to be from Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah.
And ironically, when I went to meet Rita for the first time, we put the roof on that building. It used to be the Boer Corporation, Dominion Homes, and it was in the early 2000s. We put a wood shake roof on there that's still on the property. And so anyway.
How ironic is that?
Yeah.
I love that.
That's too funny. By the way, do you go around Columbus and go, yep, we did that roof,
Yeah. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, I'm sure.
We've done a lot of roofs here, for sure.
But I'm going to ask about what the partnership means and what we can look forward to moving forward. But if I could ask you real quick, Mike, clearly you're a very successful man. You touched on you like to hike and especially going to third world countries. Is there a reason for that? Does it? You seem like you're a very successful man, but you seem like a very humble man too. What is it that inspires you to see some of those things that we don't get to see every day? We're lucky to be in the country we're in.
Yes, we are. I've always said if you wanted to solve the world's problems, if I were the president of the world, I would throw every child out at 18. They'd have to leave and they'd come back 2 years later after they had about 5 stamps in their passport. I think a lot of things would change. When you go out and realize how fortunate that we are. Not to mention, it's not just all of the poverty. I mean, just amazing people. When you get off the beaten path and not staying at a resort, Mexico's wonderful. And, all-inclusive resorts are great, and I've done it as well. But when you go off the beaten path, you really meet people, you understand the culture, and I just find it amazing. I love culture and I love people. So,
Mike, have you had a favorite place that you've gone, people-wise, that, wow, I really can't wait to get back and talk with those people again?
Yeah, I love Mexico. It's always been a kind of a special spot in my heart. And actually, there was this young man that I met. He was selling bracelets.
Yeah.
And it was in Cancun, and he was selling bracelets in the plaza. His name was Miguel. He was probably 8 or 9, And I thought that was, his name was Miguel. I said, oh, my name's Miguel. And so he thought that was cool. And his little bit of English, my little bit of Spanish. And so when I would see him, I would always interact with him just a little bit. He was busy. He was working. I'm walking home one night to the hotel, and I look in a doorway, and there's 3 kids laying on a cardboard box, and one of them was Miguel. And it really floored me. And I had no clue. You wouldn't have thought. I mean, he was just so much energy and positive and just such a neat little guy. I don't know if he was fully homeless, or that's maybe where he slept sometimes because he had worked late. I don't know. But obviously at that age, to be sleeping on the street was pretty impactful for me. My brother and I have always wanted to do something. When we started this business, my brother, my sister, our other partners, we said that we really wanted to do something once we got the business to a scale. And now we're at that point. And so we started 6 months ago looking for the right partner. We've been in conversation with the Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption for probably 3 months. Probably 3 months.
Yeah.
So, and again, as Rita said, today's the day that we announced to all of our dealers nationwide.
Wow.
And we're just so excited.
What does the future look like then for the Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption moving forward?
Yeah, well, I'll start with, at a very basic level, it's about fundraising. As a nonprofit organization, if we can get people engaged in the cause and they feel moved enough that they'll help donate and make things happen. But at a much bigger level, this is about understanding that nothing happens in this world without people working together, without people understanding what it is that is behind the dynamics of foster care and kids in foster care. And Mike's right. We talked about, the children we serve aren't necessarily the babies in foster care, although they're there. They're teenagers and children in sibling groups and children with special needs and children, sadly, who have been in foster care for so long that they just want to get the heck out of there and be on their own, and they don't understand the need for family, and so they push against family. So if we can get people engaged that right here in our backyard in Columbus or the backyard in Oklahoma City or whatever your backyard is, there are children who simply need someone to step forward to foster and hopefully to adopt and bring them into their family. And so partnerships like this help us get that message out in a much broader way. And when there are passionate groups involved, when the dealers are involved, when their customers are involved, we see phenomenal things happen, not just at the fundraising level, but at that understanding level of moving to action level on behalf of these kids. So it's really both of those.
Yeah. Rita, I was thinking as you were talking too, your reach is nationwide plus Canada.
Yeah.
Mike, with your company and Roof Maxx, same thing. So this is a great marriage here. Yeah. And especially to get the word out. Anything you want to add to what Rita just said?
For me, it is getting the word out. I'll be honest. Of course, everybody wants to do good, but it takes money to do good, as Rita said.
Of course.
And in businesses must be profitable. We're not a nonprofit. So I wanted something that we could get the company behind, to rally behind. We've rallied behind sustainability, keeping debris out of landfills. That's all wonderful. But this is a much deeper impact. It's better for recruiting. It's better for retention. Employees, dealers, people who are like-minded in alignment. I think that it will touch the hearts. I think that today during the announcement, there's going to be many dealers that are very excited. I think there will be some that will go, this is interesting. And there's going to be some that are like, why are we doing this? Sure. But I believe that over time, those that get engaged and involved will really find the impact because, I started this off as a business decision and wanting to do the right thing, of course. But it always has to start with a business decision. And over time, as I really have gotten to know what the team does at Dave Thomas and what the impact that it's impacting me at a different level.
Yeah.
So they're going to go through that same evolution. We did things at Fiesel to help the community. We were a small company, a local company. And it always felt good when you could go out and help someone in need. Maybe it was one of our salespeople would come back and say, I've got a customer and man, they're really in a bad way. And we would decide to put the roof on their home for free. That always made you feel good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I know that this is going to impact many people beyond just the core people in the company, but all of the dealers at a broader level, not to mention the story that they're going to tell each time they're sitting at the kitchen table with the customer, and now make them aware of the Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption and really what it means.
Rita, where can a person, if they want to help or just find out more, where's a good spot to go?
Yeah, we've got a very robust website, www.davethomasfoundation.org. And there's all kinds of ways to jump in, to help, to learn more about what this foster care situation means. We also have an 800 line, 1-800-ASK, ASK-DTFA, if folks want to get a live voice during business hours.
Yeah. By the way, if I could ask too, with the Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption, do you oversee almost the entire process from the foster parents themselves to the care they're getting in the homes? I mean, what's your umbrella over?
Yeah, it's a great question. We typically step in at that point at which children have been freed for adoption. So the court has legally and permanently severed the relationship with their family. Now they're sitting in foster care, and they have already been in foster care for 2 or 3 years. Now they're sitting there waiting either until they age out at 18 or until someone steps forward and adopts. So that's our sweet spot. We certainly work with states and counties all across the nation who provide that foster care support, and right here in Columbus, Ohio, through Franklin County Children's Services and others. But that's not where we put our effort. We put our effort into those children who are waiting to be adopted.
Rita, by the way, have you always done this line of work? What's your background, if you don't mind me asking?
No, it's a great question because it's not too dissimilar to Mike in a way. I was on an entirely different track. We had just moved back to Columbus, Ohio. I had an infant myself, and there was this horrendous case in the news about an infant that had been abused and died. And I was primed. And I was also one of those kids that, much to my parents' consternation, was always pounding my fist saying, that's not fair, when it had to do with kids. So I always had an innate sense, I think, of justice for kids. But that was a pivotal event. I started volunteering here in Columbus for what was then the League Against Child Abuse, and began to learn about what are the dynamics that cause a parent to harm the child that they should be keeping safe. And began to understand those dynamics. That turned into a staff position. So was there for nearly a decade, learning as much as I could about the dynamics and building my professional experience as a program builder, and then had the opportunity to move to another organization and lead the court-appointed special advocates program here in Columbus, Ohio, that works with families once abuse has occurred. They're now involved in the legal justice system. Who's the advocate? Who's the voice for the child in that situation? And was there and began to develop that leadership sense. But that really important part of growing a business is, how do you build and deeply maintain relationships that help you advance the cause? And then had the unique opportunity about 22 years ago to join the Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption. So for me, it's been, I'm not sure where the full circle ends, but it's been full circle from that prevention piece. How do we keep kids out of foster care? Intervention, what do we do once they jump into foster care? How do we be their best advocates to get them home, hopefully, but if not, to get them on the right track for adoption? And then here, now that we've created so many legal orphans in this country, how do we get them home quick?
Yeah. Rita, bless you. You're doing God's work. You truly are. Look, as we wrap up, tell us the future of Roof Maxx. What's next?
Continue to grow the brand. Continue to build really strong partnerships. We're maybe a whisper in the ear of the consumer at this point nationally.
Okay. Yeah.
We will double the company, double the marketing. We're starting to come into the doubling. So we're probably 3 years away before people are like, okay, Roof Maxx, I've heard of that, right?
Yeah.
And it's another few years before I know exactly what that is.
Yeah.
And I believe in the next decade, rejuvenation is as common as water sealing your driveway.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Or resealing your asphalt, right? It needs to become. So it takes time to build trust.
Absolutely.
You know?
Well, look, I can't thank you both enough for your time. Mike Fiesel, who is the co-founder and president CEO of Roof Maxx, and also Rita Sorinen, who is the president CEO of the Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption. Both of you, congratulations on this amazing partnership, and thanks for your time, and thanks for being a guest this week on CEOs You Should Know.
Yeah, I appreciate
Thanks so much.
Yeah, I appreciate you having us on.